Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Sups. I love Panda Sups products. They're unbelievable. They help me stay in shape, and on days that I am super hungover after a Raiders 24-19 loss, I take a scoop before I go to bed. I take a scoop when I wake up in the morning of some BCAAs to make sure my body is hydrated. The reason why we're giving you this video today is because we got some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed cornerback Nickell Robey-Coleman, and personally, I'm pretty excited about this move. I first heard wind that it could potentially happen at around like 6 a.m. this morning when I was in the gym. I worked out for about 20 minutes, then had to hop in the shower real quick, busted my butt into the office. I started tweeting out that, hey, buckle up, Raider fans. Today's going to be a very interesting day. But I really think the biggest two reasons why this happened is, one, the Raiders love versatile players, and Nickell Robey-Coleman is a versatile player who has played in some pass regimes that I know Josh McDaniels is very fond of. He is undersized, no doubt about it, but he's a nickel corner. He's going to be someone that is going to slot in now on the inside to really try to slow down some of that pass efficiency that you saw this past week. At 5'8", 180 pounds, this is really going to help your secondary, especially in the nickel. So I want you to grade the signing right now. Every single person, whether you're just waking up, whether it's your lunch, whether you're in a different country and it's already dinner time, I don't care. I want to know the grading of this signing of Nickell Robey-Coleman. For me personally, I'm going to sit up here and say it's a B grade. It's a good move. In fact, this has been a player that I've mentioned multiple times on the Raiders Report, not just this year and years previous. However, with some good news in the Raiders adding him, I do think that you're going to get some bad news in terms of some injuries that happened. We'll talk about those in a second. And ultimately, why I think that the Raiders went and made this move here. So personally, again, I'm going to give it a B grade. He's a good player. He's going to offer you some versatility. We're going to go through a lot of his stats here in terms of his coverage stats, his PFF stats. And when you think about it, I'll just say it. It's fine. I actually put out a video June 30th, 2021 was the very first time that I said I want the Raiders to go out and get Nickell Robey-Coleman. The reason why I said it was because at the time, yes, they had Gus Bradley, but I also knew anytime you can add a versatile player who's played in multiple different schemes, it's going to help you out a lot. He has bounced around the NFL. He's played in 9 seasons thus far. He started in Buffalo. Then he went to Los Angeles. Then he played for Philadelphia for a little bit. We'll look at all those numbers here in just a sec. But remember, if you love the Raiders, I don't care what time of the day it is. I don't care how late I was up last night. I don't care that I was live for 4 or 5 hours drinking boots with Raider fans. If you want to stay up to date on all your news and rumors and you want to do it for free, the Raiders Report is the place for you. Hit that subscribe button. And after a week, I'll tell you this. Watch the show for a week. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. It doesn't cost anything. I just really don't think that that's going to happen. So let's take a look at Robey-Coleman's stats here throughout his entire career in 9 seasons. Last season, he did play in only 1 game with Detroit, kind of bounced around a little bit on practice squads, but 4 tackles. In 2020 with the Eagles, 44 tackles, 1 pass breakup, no interceptions. In 2019 with the Rams, 36 tackles, 7 PBUs, 0 INTs. For the sake of the show, I'm really only going to focus on the past 3 seasons because, I mean, let's face it, to me, they're probably the most relevant. So from a coverage standpoint last year, again, in only 1 game, he was targeted 4 times, gave up 2 catches with the Lions, 17 yards, and when he was targeted, quarterback's QBR was 61.5. So think about the 2021 numbers, and then we're going to go now to his PFF grades in 2020 because personally I thought his PFF grades in 2021, they weren't even worth it to show you. So overall grade of 51.1 in 2020 with the Eagles. Run defense grade, not great, but again, if I got a slot corner, I'm a little bit more worried about his coverage grade. Pass rushing grade is phenomenal. Again, small sample size. 53.3, that's the number I want you to look at. However, when you really look at some of his coverage stats, they were not good with the Eagles. 37 times he was targeted. He gave up 25 receptions, 341 yards, and that alarming number in 2020, which was 123.8 QBR against him. That's not good at all. Perfect QBR rating, for those of you that don't know, is 158.3. In 2019, according to PFF, a 74.5 overall grade. This is the player that I'm hoping that he can be for the Raiders. I'm hoping that he can be a veteran. I'm hoping that he can be somebody that steps up. Run defense grade of 65.4, pass rush grade of 73.1, a coverage grade, that's the important one, 74.1. From a coverage standpoint, I know this infamous play, as you can see in the background picture there for Saints fans, but 43 targets, 22 catches, 275 yards allowed, and a QBR against him at 69.4. That is a very impressive coverage stat. So personally for me, he's going to impact the secondary. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I believe he's going to impact this secondary going forward, what it means for players who are healthy, and unfortunately, what it means for players who, well, aren't 100% healthy. Now, today's show, y'all, is presented by Panda Sups, and as you can see, we got BCAAs. This is going to help you recover if you got a heavy night of drinking or after a good workout. Helps you rebuild your muscles, your greens. It's really important to make sure you get your greens every day, and I know how difficult it is to be able to eat your broccoli, I was thinking of other green food, but there it just goes to show how much I eat that. I do take a scoop of this, though, every day. What about a pre-workout? You're struggling, you need a nice little kick in the butt before you work out. There you go, and then you can mix it all up with your awesome shaker. Plus, they did just launch, I'm going to do my Vanna White impression here, brand new test boosters. This is something that's going to make you feel like you're 20 years old again. You're going to get a good pump, and I'm just going to tell you because it's YouTube. Your wife, your girlfriend, your significant others, they're going to like it too. It's going to help, really pump you up. You know what I'm talking about. 25% off, code Raiders at pandasups.com. So let's now talk about how this move is going to potentially impact this Raiders defense. When you really think about it, I think the guy that impacts the most is Nate Hobbs, because if I'm the Raiders, I saw that Nate Hobbs is one of the best players in the NFL in the secondary. Plain and simple, it's true. I could potentially see Nate Hobbs going out to the outside corner. You then throw in Nickell Robey-Coleman as your nickel corner because Anthony Averett left with a thumb injury, and from what I'm already being told, this is the reason why the Raiders went out and got Robey-Coleman. So hold your breath on how long Anthony Averett's probably going to be out. On the secondary side of the football, I was very impressed by Jonathan Abram. They were moving. There was times where Abram, Moehrig, and Duron Harmon were all out there on the field. But one of the things that I loved about Trevon Moehrig was his versatility. The fact that I think that you could line him up in the nickel. The fact that you can drop him back at a free safety. The thing that scares me the most here with him, he's got a hip injury. And Raider fans know how hip injuries can totally derail a career, like Bo Jackson. Totally different injuries. I'm not trying to freak you out. But anytime I see hip, I get very, very nervous. So from top to bottom, there are a lot of injuries that I'm scared of. I know the picture up there of Andre James and Nickell Robey-Coleman. It's all good. We will, Andre James, though, did leave with a concussion. That's a really scary injury to think about, considering the fact that after that game, he was rushed to the hospital. You got Denzel Perryman. He's dealing with an ankle. Brandon Bolden's dealing with a knee injury. DJ Turner's dealing with an ankle. Andrew Billings, that injury has still been undisclosed. And then Anthony Averett dealing with that thumb. So 7 big-time injuries to the Raiders. So what do I think of? All right, if you got some injuries out there, here are some guys to keep on your radar. Jamie Collins, who the Raiders had in for a visit. I was told to don't be surprised if the Raiders actually try to bring in Jamie Collins this week. Alec Ogletree, Reggie Ragland, Blake Martinez. Keep an eye on all 3 of those players. Reggie Ragland and Alec Ogletree worked out with the Raiders earlier this offseason. When I say earlier, I mean like a week or 2 ago. If the injury to Denzel Perryman is serious, all 3 of those linebackers featured, definitely names to keep in mind. T.J. Carey, Jerron Williams. These 2 players were brought in for workouts last week as well. Keep those guys in mind. And then if the injury to Andrew Billings, who did get the start against the Chargers, is very, very severe, I mean, we could potentially look at Ndamukong Suh, though it's been quiet around him, and the Raiders did bring in Danny Shelton. So all 8 of those players, please keep them on your radar. So out of those names, though, which one would you want the Raiders to sign? I went through a lot of lists there. For me personally, the big name on there is Ndamukong Suh, but Jamie Collins, I believe, is the most likely out of those names to be added to this Raiders team by the end of the week. Now, the first time I ever talked about Nickell Robey-Coleman was June 30th, 2021 here on this Raiders Report show. I talked to you guys about, hey, I would like for the Raiders to bring him in. They finally did it. I'm not saying because of that video is why they brought him in, but this has been a player that I've brought up multiple times on the show So it is good to see that they're bringing somebody in that I do think could help out this defense in multiple ways because of that versatility. So again, y'all, if you want to stay up to date on everything going on around the silver and black, you can hit me up on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. I was tweeting stuff out this morning like, get ready, buckle up. I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know when exactly it was going to be official that the Raiders signed him. And if you follow me on Instagram, that's another great place to stay up to date. We were calling people in yesterday on our Raiders-Chargers watch party. Even though the Raiders lost, you know, it was one of those things where I still had a good time. We had over 103,000 people tune in to watch the Raiders. Hopefully, we can bounce back next week against Arizona. I don't know if Trevon Moehrig going to be in that game because I know he missed week 1. No surprise. But remember to stay up to date on everything going on around the silver and black. Hit that subscribe button. Hit me up on social media. And always remember that I bleed silver and black, and I hope you guys do too.